day as round 15 continues here at the MCG. We welcome you to another AFL Sunday, a big game this one, many suggesting maybe one of the games of the season. It is the Kangaroos looking to continue their unbeaten run up against the Western Bulldogs, really starting to challenge and looking forward to September. Another big game today is being played at Football Park. That is between Port Adelaide and Essendon. Very, very foggy over there at Football Park earlier today, slowly but surely clearing. But it's not going to be easy for those two sides, Port Power and the Bombers. Nice to welcome to our telecast Gerard Healy. And Gerard, I know you're looking forward to what promises to be one of the great games of the year.
Well, there's no doubt that North Melbourne are the form side of the competition at the moment, but many people have gone for the Western Bulldogs based on the fact that the logic that North Melbourne just can't keep winning forever. Their winning sequence now has stretched out to 11, and well, can they make it 12 in a row? The Bulldogs look a tremendous side. They've got just about their best side on paper and look to have the goal kickers to challenge the Kangaroos.
The 1990
out on the ground. Let's hear what Terry Wallace has to say prior to the big game.
Well, player, with the top three spot beckoning today seems to be a very important game for the club in that respect.
Yeah, well, we played in a big game last week, and the boys were very good. North Melbourne have certainly been the trendsetters over the last month and a half. With 10 wins in a row, it really gives you an indication of just exactly where you're standing at the moment. The 4 points is vital, to stay up in that top four bracket, but certainly it gives us an eye on where we're going as well.
You mentioned last week a great win for the club. Does that help the players in regard to self-belief?
I think it does. I mean, big games, especially when you're on the road, just build the confidence and bind the guys together a little bit. I think we should have got something out of last week, but this game is a week in, week out scenario, and it's just putting that together again this week.
Today's game's been billed as the battle of the midfields. That'd be fairly correct. Both teams got very good midfield players.
Yeah, I think so, and I think also with that they're both capable of scoring fairly heavily as well. I think they're just about the top two scoring sides in the competition as well. So I mean that all goes well for a great battle. Winning possession of the ball in the middle will be vital, and I think Scott Wind will be a big influence in that area for us. And McKernan's form over the last couple of weeks has been sensational.
You mentioned Scotty Wind. He seemed to play a little bit off the bench last week. We heard that he had internal bleeding a few weeks ago. How's he travelling?
No, he's fitting well, and look, it was one of those where you just got to make a decision to try to get the bloke up and running and get him right. He's A-OK at the moment.
And today, any special build-up during the week for the game, or just same old, same old?
Oh no, I think when you're playing in a game against North Melbourne, if you don't treat it with the respect that's due, we'd get ourselves in trouble. It's a big game, it's an important game for the club, and we'll be treating it that way.
One young fellow that impressed me last week was young Robbins from Geelong. What can you tell me about him?
He's been very good virtually over the last month. He's played some great football for us. We've given him jobs, and he's gone out and taken on some really tough jobs in the last few weeks, and then gets rebound off them and probably get a similar job today.
Well, thanks for your time, pal. It's going to be a great game. Good luck.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Oz.
Terry Wallace speaking there with Richard Osborne. If you're wondering how close these two sides are, just 0.2% separates them as far as percentage is concerned on the ladder. Two great attacking sides, two great defending sides. Promises to be a beauty. Coming your way on the other side of this break. Can the Kangaroos continue this amazing run? Can the Western Bulldogs show they are real challengers? Wine gives it to Johnson. Johnson goes inside 50. Mickey Martin defends. He's up against Luke Darcy in the opening minutes. Pushes it wide towards Pickett, who gets the soccer off the ground. Martin will go again. Slews off the side of the boot. Scotty West runs into trouble in the form of Johnny Longmire. Pushed out the back door towards the boundary line and just kept in play by Powell. Then Pickett gets leg. Spoons it forward. He was looking for Stevens. Powell once again is on all fours. So too there is Simpson for the Kangaroos, and we've got a ball up on centre wing. Well, if the opening minute's any indication, they're fired up, they're ready to go. And another man who's fired up and ready to go is Terry Wheeler in the commentary box. Welcome, Terry.
Good afternoon, Sandy, and what a start that was. Very quick and sharp. Players committed to do well. The Kangaroos winning week in and week out. Dogs very good in the comeback last week.
Longmire, a hurried kick up towards the half-forward line. Carey has publicly stated he is ready to take him on. Well, we'll see what unfolds there as Dimatina charges the Dogs forward, down towards half-forward. McCartney tries to spoil, could have almost been held. Blakey plays on, kicks back towards Simpson. He marks on centre wing. He's got players streamed down the ground. He goes up towards centre half-forward. Scholl was the target, couldn't take the mark, comes back to Scholl. He loses it now to the King. Carey in towards full forward. No one there, and Danny Southern's going to see that amble over the boundary line. A throw in the Roos left forward pocket.
And the Roos would be fairly happy that they got away with that indiscretion. The local Bulldog fans are pretty incensed that that wasn't paid to Chris Grant, who's up against McCartney, and Nick Winmar is starting at full forward, and he's being picked up by Glenn Archer.
So the two big men go at it. Wine and McKernan, but it's Robbins. Works very well with Powell, so good last week off the bench. 3 goals, Powell. Half forward, Johnny Blakey.
In fact, the entire Bulldogs full forward line or forward line is playing up around the centre, leaving Winmar one out with Archer, and it looks as if Darcy has been planted as a decoy to drag Mick Martin up the ground.
And here's a real problem spot for the Bulldogs. Corey McKernan floating down from the ruck position into half forward. Blakey wastes no time kicking into that spot and meters out in the clear from Scotty Wine. As Sandy said, very good form of late. 4 goals last week. 9 marks in that game. So aggressive. Ballistic. It's a big word that Dennis Pagan used, Sandy. I'm sure it does describe it. From 50. McKernan goes towards it. Just looking for that extra yardage. Loses the accuracy, so the first score on the board is to the Kangaroos.
Yes, and a couple of matchups, Wind and Longmire in the ruck. West is going with Anthony Stevens, or Stevens and West. Simpson and Johnson should be a good matchup, and Liberatore up against Peter Bell, and Bell has been one of the keys to the success of the Kangaroos in the last couple of years.
Leon Cameron brings it into Todd Curley. Shannon Grant holding him up in the pocket. Forced to chip short. That's okay, however. The Dogs not quite favourites going into this game. The Kangaroos slight favourites, paying $1.70 as Croft looks down towards Grant. Swings round in a wide arc and goes on to the left foot. Down towards the 50 he goes. The Kangaroos have got the numbers. Bell has got the pace. Peter Bell knew he had nothing to kick to down there. Could see only Bulldogs downfield, so let's head to the boundary line. And the little veteran of some 90 games did exactly that. Been a very, very good pickup for the Kangaroos from Fremantle. Darcy, Martin, Mick got a hand to it, but that was all. Simpson through up towards left half forward. Carey is at the back, comes to meet it now and soccers it in towards the middle. Target there was Abraham. Winston couldn't quite get it. Look at the tackling. That was on Croft. Somehow is able to get clear. Again finds Robbins. Robbins looks up towards half forward. They can't get past there at the moment, though, the Doggies. Could have been a kicking in danger there from Blakey. Play on. Pickett's on all fours. Can't pick it up. Almost shoveled out the back door. And eventually it is to Mickey Martin. Martin takes it. And it's going to come back. There will be a free kick going the way of the Kangaroos, to be taken by Shane Clayton, I think, on half-back.
Just having a look at this replay, and still finding it difficult to see what that kick was for.
Just appeared to cop one high, but didn't appear to be a lot in it as Crediuk takes the mark at half-back.
Crediuk towards the outer side, or the great southern stand side of the MCG. Abraham, surface moving underneath his feet, slips slightly. North Melbourne up forward again. Harvey with Simpson. Quick exchange of hand, Clayton. All the youngsters involved, but the old man Wine steps in and intercepts it. Back to Grant on the left foot, up to the one-on-one contest. Croft wants front position, does well to get it. And on the rebound, lacks of fortune, but he attacked the ball and he's turned it back the Dogs' way. Montgomery on the wing. Little bit of space. Grant, McCartney, the centre half-back gives a free kick away. Grant playing in front. 3 goals, 3 times in the last 4 games. Back in some goal-scoring form. Darcy up early for the Cavalry. just able to step around Mickey Martin there and take the mark.
Well, Luke Darcy's been going forward and then pushed down into deep into attack to provide the option. And it's a good match-up so far if he can slot this one away.
Kicked 3 goals against Carlton earlier in the year. But since then, it's really dried up for Luke Darcy. Just ones have been his best tallies. He'll be a very dangerous player if he can get down into that forward line. Has the potential. He's still just a young man. Birthday tomorrow, 24 years of age. Game number 86. Continues to develop for the Dogs. This will be the start they want. Deliberately on the left. Darcy's got the Dogs first.
Yeah, great start to the Western Bulldogs, because it looks as if their key players are up and running. Croft just getting that ball away from Wayne Carey, so his confidence will be up. Montgomery getting some run, and he gets it to Grant. So a key there, and Grant picks up a free kick. But I think the best aspect of that from a Terry Wallace perspective was that Luke Darcy, a potential match winner, into the game, taking a mark early.
Great start by the Dogs and Luke Darcy. Kangaroos doing the bulk of the attacking in the opening 3 minutes. Then the Dogs whip it down there, as so often happens, and score one. Wine doing the work from the back. Can't take it cleanly. His teammate Johnson can, but only as far as Simpson goes onto the left foot and tumbles it up towards half forward. Danny Southern, that was nice use of the body. Cleverly done. Gave away some height. Certainly not strength. Garlick between half back and centre wing.
He just pushed off Shannon Grant. Grant elected to drop back, but Garlick went towards the ball, and he's finished up with it.
Robbins got rid of it very, very quickly, but was able to give it to Curley. He looks down towards half forward. Poor kick, however. A little too far for Darcy and dropping into the arms of Mick Martin. Coming back into the Roos lineup this week. They'll be delighted to have him back. Could have gone to the outer side. Pickett was alone. Now Scholl's going to come over the top. Gets edged out by Powell. He almost got sandwiched. Got to shove, said the umpire, and he's got a free kick. Plays on quickly to Garlick. Oh, in a spot of bother. Shepherding will see him clear eventually. It's taken a long, long time, but he's speared it in towards Scotty West. West now, first one way, then the other. Back onto the left foot. A high ball on. Pickett, the juggler. Can't take it. McCartney, wide to the outer side. Again, a poor kick drops into the arms of DiMartino.
Free kick coming back here into the goal square, Sandy. It'll be going to Byron Pickett. I think the infringement was against Nicky Winmar, which was a bit unfortunate for the Bulldogs because they were back heading towards the goals.
Archer from the back pocket. Longmire. One grab. Goes again. Wide. Cleverly done by Scotty Wine to poke it out towards West. He had to backpedal to Powell. Didn't quite find him. King under pressure. Wobbles it over the line, but gains some 40 metres.
The Bulldogs doing all the attacking in the early part of the game. Putting enormous pressure on the defence of the Kangaroos. Both these attacks are in the top 3 in the competition, but their defences are in the middle of the road. So you would expect some high scoring here this afternoon. Longmire with Wine. They're just allowed to drop. Brown, Nathan Brown, across the centre half forward, given the chance to Montgomery. He will always take it when it's tossed up. And no doubt about it. Each week he's looking to take one. He's taken one early, and an excellent kick to Grant.
Looking sharp early, the Bulldogs. Let's have a look at this champion lineup and shoot at goal. But this time we have a look at one of the great high flyers of the competition, Brent Montgomery, doing a little bit of acting as well, but didn't quite come up with the 50.
So Grant in early form this afternoon. As I said earlier, he's kicked 3 goals in 3 of the last 4 games. 18 goals, 20 is the return. This is always the most nervous time for Bulldog supporters. Grant from 45. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. He's honing in, is Chris Grant. Dogs have 2 on the board. The Kangaroos have only gone forward once for a behind.
Yeah, positive signs now for the Bulldogs. We'll take another look at this infringement. In fact, it was a mark. And there was a dubious piece of acting to get the game underway.
Gary Durkay onto the ground now for the Kangaroos. A lightning start by the Dogs. Wine was looking for West, couldn't find him, but Liberatore written into the ground. The advantage could be paid here, although it turned out in the end not to be an advantage. Johnson, however, tidies up for Curly. Scotty West's on the outer side. Alone, can set up the loose man. The sweeping hand pass over the top to Garlick. 65 metres out. Looks into the forward line once again. A shove, and there's going to be another free kick to the Dogs. They're running hot here at the G. Whitmar has it, and he's 45 metres out from goal. Well, the North Melbourne defence are under siege here at the moment by virtue of the pace with which the Bulldogs are bringing that ball into their forward line. Scotty West getting the ball clear, and Garlick just going the long option. Whitmar shoots for goal. This for a 17-point lead. He misses to the right, one behind. Time just to settle now for the Kangaroos, because in just about each of the one-on-one battles, the Bulldogs are on top. 2-1 behind. Some big fires early on in this game. McKernan putting his hand up. Here's Grant spiralling it forward once again. Montgomery! Yes! He's not paid it! He has not paid it! And have a look at Monty. Well, I would have thought that was a catch. Well, he played county cricket in England, Sandy, about 4 or 5 years ago, and the batsman walked. That would have been a catch, I reckon. And the umpire was some 30 metres away on the other side. However, play goes on. Pickett kicks wide to the outer side. They're fired up. Dimartino overruns it. Pressure now on the Kangaroos, looking to steady things down. The sweeping hand pass was by McKernan, but he put Abraham under the pump. They are really under the pump at the moment. Bell cries ball, the umpire calls play on, and they do. Back it comes to Peter Bell. A worm burner in towards half forward. No mark taken. Southern comes charging out, and he has it now, taking the hand pass, tumbling a punt to half forward. It goes past Mickey Martin, down towards their 50. Martin traps it now, leaves it for his teammate, who is taken to the ground. It opens the door for Martin. The advantage is going to be paid, because McCartney was pushed in the back, kicks down towards left half forward. Robbins is there, and Robbins steadies for the Dogs. Back he comes.
Tosses it on up high. Grant comes out of the contest. Archer from behind spoils it on down. Simpson getting a fair bit of the football along the boundary line. Wins a boundary throw-in right on centre wing.
We'll have another look at this mark. What's your decision? Looked like he had at least a first grab. No question about the second, but a couple of midfield matchups. Robbins is going with Brent Harvey. Powell and King, Smith and Blakey, Pickett with Montgomery.
Quick hands by Powell, finds that man, Scotty West, racking up early possessions. Kick the Grant's good, the umpire will pay that one. Wheels around as Grant tosses it up the square. Whitmar pushing, shoving, there's the fly, Montgomery again. You want the Cadburys? He's up there. He desperately wants it. We have seen young Brett Burton for the Adelaide Crows. Well, Montgomery is the one for the Western Bulldogs. 50th game of league football last week. Gets his shot now, looking for his first. You would put it down as a laydown was there. 15 metres out. Montgomery has goal.
And this is a good matchup, because he can take a flyer. Terry Wallace puts a lot of time into picking holes in the opposition, as do all of the coaches. Yeah, we'll pay that one, Chris. But maybe he's found a plus or a flaw in the Pickett armoury, in that he can't jump as high, although he was up there. Just better judgment by Montgomery. Time now for Byron Pickett to tighten up, because this fellow is looking dangerous.
Montgomery gets his 47th goal in his career.
In centre bounce clearances to date, Sandy, 3 love the way of the Bulldog.
In one-way traffic, hasn't it? Let's see what happens this time.
What a wonderful set at the moment. There are 8 Bulldogs forwards within 30 metres of goal. Huge amount of space in the midfield.
McKernan up early. Wine again out to West. Here they go once more. Johnson gets claim. Not before he got it away, however. Back to Liberatore. Hurriedly onto the left foot. Inside 50. Blakey comes charging out with Martin, but then they falter. The door may open for Robbins. Robbins steps and goal. They're running hot here at the G. Look out, the Dogs are on the prowl.
Well, Matthew Robbins had his 7th possession, and he always looked as if he was going to be a handy pickup coming from the Cats. They took a little bit of time settling into this side, but Terry is a very mobile player, and Terry Wallace has him playing disciplined football, doing a job. He's doing it well on Harvey at the moment, but he has got the skill to hurt you if he gets the footy in the forward 50.
The Western Bulldogs out of the blocks early. Inside 50, Western Bulldogs 8 times, the Kangaroos 4, but it's 4 goals to 0. Stevens quickly out of the centre on the right foot, bounces in, Kingsley goes nowhere, Southern's tackle is good, Croft does well at ground level, but you can't beat Wayne Carey, that's throwing the ball surely, and it is. Croft got through 1 tackle, tries a second. You're not going to get away with a one-handed flick, are you? This man is arguably the difference between the two sides. Big, strong, aggressive and skillful. Approaching 200 games of football from outside 50. The skipper goes. The Bulldog skipper tries, but it's there. Carey's first, the Kangas first, and maybe a twinge in that front thigh muscle.
The King opening his 197th game with a goal.
The runner out talking to the King. Terry Wheeler picked up that perhaps there was a bit of a thigh strain there. We'll follow that closely.
West out of the middle. That's where they've been dominating early. Take it out of the centre. This time Winston Abraham cuts across, and he does it very well as he gives it to David King. Pumps towards Carey once again. Again forced to full stretch. Look at the tackling. Sensational, but it's spooned out wide. A chance maybe for Sutton on all fours, then loses it. They lock it up. Brown gets a hurried one, only as far as Simpson. He tumbles it onto the left foot, bounces it in towards full forward. Curley, first one way, then the other from Scholl. Does okay, finding Scotty West right on the boundary line. Sutton has drifted down to half back. Danny goes up towards centre wing. A kick, not what he would have liked, not what he had in mind. Shannon Grant takes the mark.
Danny Southern doing a tremendous job just running away from Corey McKernan at the moment.
Penetrating kick from Grant in towards half forward. Bell somehow out the back door, snaps in towards goal. Was under no pressure, probably could have gone a little further and made better use of that kick. One behind only.
I think the best option was perhaps just to kick it with a bit of height into the goal square. Wayne Carey had broken away, he was free, and he would have just run onto the ball and kicked easily. Just have a look at it now. It's a very skilled takeaway. And there's Carey at the top of the screen. You saw him heading towards the square. But nevertheless, there was only a behind.
Curley finds Brown.
Once again, Southern breaking away.
He's on centre wing, but very good work by David King. There's Carey. We saw just feeling that leg after kicking that goal, and maybe there was a bit of a twinge.
Steve Critiock from the Western Bulldogs has got a bit of a twinge as well, and his left calf very heavily strapped. He's jogging around the boundary line, but looks pretty proppy at the moment.
Thanks, Aussie. Richard Osborne on the boundary line. The Dimatina kick marked by Shannon Grant on half back.
Steve Critiock, trouble with that calf early in the year. Missed some 4 games at the start of the season. Been very good the last few weeks. Saved against the Hawthorn Football Club with that touch right on the line. So his desperation could be lost here this afternoon. You want desperation, here's a little bit right now. It's Liberatore on the left foot to half forward. Grant pushes, shoves, finally gets towards the front. 3 Kangaroos dive upon him. Archer's first, Grant's at the bottom, and there'll be a bounce.
Well, it's a tremendous effort by Grant, but I think it was Shannon Grant in particular. Have a look at him jump back into the pack here. That's great courage, and it looks as if Dennis Pagan has got him working off his opponent and pushing down to be an extra player in defence.
Umpire Brett Allen bounces the ball. Quickly out by Simpson. Bounces free. Southern again in the front spot. Controls the ball. Scott West is there, quickly on. Robbins tosses it back up straight from where it came from. And this time McCartney gets back at centre half back off to King, and away go the Roos again.
And once again, good shepherding there by Shannon Grant. Got Garlick out of the equation. King to Carey. Free kick over. It's going against Wayne Carey. Not appreciating the treatment he got.
It's a big call for 50 for that.
Well, Scotty Wine having the last laugh at the moment.
You can't afford your captain to be doing that thing, boys. Right in front of the umpire, very undisciplined.
True, Ozzy, but I don't know what the 50-metre penalty was for. He did nothing wrong.
And which captain are you talking about?
Yeah.
Wayne Carey.
So here it is here, the two of them here. It's a free. There's a push there. He speaks to him, and all there's a little bit of a push and shove there. It's not as if he didn't come back off the mark. It's not as if he abused the umpire, which is a 50-metre penalty. I'm at loss.
A little bit of panic, I think. Croft. Pull forward again. Chris Grant takes the mark. And that will not please Wayne Carey. But this will certainly please Bulldog fans. Chris Grant will have a shot for his second.
He's been clean in the marking, hasn't he, Grant?
Yep.
That's 3 already this afternoon.
And here comes the North Melbourne runner.
Tim Harrington, a former Bulldog. The runner now with North Melbourne.
He'd be saying, look, I just bring the messages out. I don't take any back. Chris Grant for his second, 30 metres out. He's done it. He's got 2.
Well, the Kangaroos have won many of their games coming from behind, and they're going to have to do it again today. But they're up against one of the prime best outfits in the competition. And we'll just have another look at this 50-metre penalty, and they always sting a little bit more. Just, it wasn't for that. It was for that little one.
Gee.
Little powder puff.
So a 50-metre penalty against Wayne Carey. The Bulldogs capitalise. Grant marks. Grant kicks his second. Out to 23 points the Western Bulldogs, and this is where they've been dominant in the first quarter. The centre bounce. Liberatore out to Powell. Stephen Powell at 29. The first jumper Chris Grant wore. Didn't kick well at all. Bell turns it back for the Kangaroos. McKernan, centre of the ground, takes it. No one stands the mark, so the big man goes. He's caught by Winmar. In the back, says umpire Hayden Kennedy. The Bulldogs believe it's their free.
Shoulder, Longmire on.
And here it is. He takes up, has the chance, but the tackle was in the back according to the umpire. McKernan in short. Harvey takes the mark.
And the mark's inside the forward 50. Western Bulldogs 4. The Kangaroos now 1.
And the 1 is taken by Carey. Roar around the stadium. Cheers from Kangaroo fans. Hoots from Bulldogs. Carey is the sole goal scorer for the Kangaroos, whereas the Bulldogs have 4. Settles over it, the skipper. His 7th year as captain. He's missed. A lot's going to be asked of Wayne Carey this afternoon. Terry Wallace and the Bulldog coaching hierarchy, they'd be happy with this start.
You have as many assistants in the box when you were the coach, Will?
Well, in round 10, Port Power got a flying start against the Kangaroos, and they had to peg them back. They're going to have to do the same thing today. Johnson has it on the last line of defence. Thinks about Luke Darcy. Montgomery's in that vicinity too. There are a couple of flyers. Johnson eventually ignores them. Elects Brown at halfback.
He's been good, Jared, since going back into the back line the last few weeks. Nathan Brown just tightened his game up a bit.
Southern on towards Garlick, who's loose on centre wing. They're running now. Johnson's come right down the ground, trying to create a bit of space, and so too Southern. Johnson might have been the better option. Grant paddles towards the line. He was surrounded by them. That's all he could do, and his teammates applaud him for it. 5-1, 31 the Bulldogs. 139. The Kangaroos. Just 3 minutes remaining. Longmire doing the ruck work. Brown getting his skates on. Liberatori's got Bell. And the umpire has said it's going to be a free kick to the little Kangaroo. Peter Bell, centering kick in towards Carey. Cropped right there, waiting down in front Robbins. He's been busy early. Robbins looks towards Winmar on the outer side. Pickett right there with him. Byron Pickett handling the ball along in front, then twisting it out the back door. That was well played to Bell. They set it up to Steady. In towards half forward. Kick coming from Simpson. No mark taken. Longmire in over the top. He's been on and off the bench so far in this first quarter. DiMartino there as well, and we've got a bounce.
And whilst we've got a discrepancy of 22 points going the way of the Western Bulldogs, it's basically because they've just got a more potent forward line at this stage. Both sides have gone into their forward 50 on 9 occasions. So the Kangaroos getting their opportunities.
Well, you don't see David King muck up too often. Powell down towards the 50. Archer handling it along, gives it to Mickey Martin.
Great shepherd, Archer.
Forced into a little pirouette. Well done, Archer, to make it clean for him. Fine shepherding. Off to Johnny Longmire. Longmire kicks in towards half forward. Simpson a fly, but couldn't take the mark. Peter Bell again asked the question. Good to see Johnny Longmire back. 511 goals and approaching the 200 club. He just needs another 5 games.
And a change has taken place. McCartney has gone on to Luke Darcy, which has meant Archer's gone on to Chris Grant, and Mick Martin has gone on to Montgomery.
Out of side, Shane Clayton didn't take the ball, wins a free kick against Montgomery.
Smart play, wasn't it?
Yep.
If he had grabbed the possession, he would have been under the pump. Just let Montgomery give away the kick.
Clayton has played every game for the Roos this year. Into half forward, flicked on out by McCartney. Robbins intercepts. Darcy unloads with a big talk. Right down to half forward, they sit from behind. Archer knocks it on down. Martin again tries off the ground. Success a few times early in the game. Missed it that time. But Pickett out to Stevens. Holds it up, Anthony Stevens. Longmire again, propping in the centre of the ground while Wine works back on McKernan and Carey. There's those players there now. Liberatore dives on the ball. Palms it on out towards Croft. The chase from Carey. Croft to the outer side. In front, Montgomery. It rebounds off him towards the boundary line. Boundary throw-in. Outer side, Western Bulldogs have jumped away. 31-9.
Matthew Robbins now with 10 possessions, doing exceedingly well on one wing. Chris Grant's also doing well with 6. For the Kangaroos, Simpson's got 8 possessions in the middle, as has Peter Bell.
McCartney doing the ruck poke, but Robbins found Montgomery. Luke Darcy, you're in trouble. One hand ping. The Kangaroos away through Simpson. In towards half forward. No one at home, though. And the mark is taken by Rowan Smith. Smith at half back for the Dogs. Comes wide towards Todd Curley. Needs to sit for him. Blakey right on his hammer. In fact, the Kangaroos have got the numbers. Maybe a little fortunate to get away with it. In the end, they don't, because the kick from Blakey goes onto the chest of Rowan Smith. And I tell you what, the fans, I think they're the Bulldog fans too, giving them the rounds in the kitchen, the men in white. What's new there?
Well, Hayden Kennedy suggesting that the Bulldogs were feigning for that free kick, but he got it wrong on that occasion. He was on the blind side. We'll have another look here. And, well, he was dragged out of it. Perhaps he was right, Hayden Kennedy, and he had taken possession. But the free kicks to date, the Kangaroos with 8, and the Western Bulldogs 4.
Hayden Kennedy, Brett Allen and Troy Burton, the men in white, in charge here at the MCG today. Sensational first quarter. I'm sure Dennis Pagan will have plenty to say, with his skipper Wayne Carey booting their only goal. Terry Wallace, on the other hand, has seen Chris Grant kick 2, Brett Montgomery, Luke Darcy and Matthew Robbins 1 apiece. It's quarter time. The Dogs 5-1, leading the Roos 1-3. At the MCG underway, the Dogs 5-1, the Kangaroos 1-3. Wine has been generating some power out of the centre. DiMartino gives the hand pass away. The smother on the southern kick was very effective indeed, and it's a chance for the Kangaroos through Simpson. They go down towards full forward. Carey at the back, can't get there quite in time. Look at that tackling. It is sensational. Opportunity now for Stevens. Take the hand.
Great smother.
Another sensational smother. Curley gets a hurried kick and he finds Scotty Wine. Wine plays on to Powell. The Dogs are out of trouble. I told you this was good football, and it certainly is. Johnson up towards the half-forward line. Pickett will cut across and defend for the Kangaroos. Heads wide. He's got Shane Clayton. Clayton looks down towards the forward line. Stevens, can he pick it up? Anthony Stevens. They said he was like a dog chasing a moving bus. Well, he went to the right on that occasion. He put through behind as the dog.
Once again, two good opportunities for the Kangaroos to kick a major, but only two behind. So we have a look at Nicky Winmar and James Cook on the bench.
Leon Cameron to do the kicking in.
Paul Hudson up in the forward line has been picked up by Glenn Archer.
Comes in short, finds Southern. He's got a fair bit of the football so far, Danny Southern. 7 disposals to him. Cameron follows up on the left, finds Johnson on the outer side. Clearly the best player for the Dogs last week in their big comeback win in Sydney. West does the roving, looks this way, that way, steps around. The little kick not far enough, says the umpire. Powell tried to con him, wasn't going to be in it. Umpire Hayden Kennedy. It's at ground level now. Stevens is underneath. Montgomery, everybody's in underneath. And umpire Hayden Kennedy comes in. Umpire Kennedy umpired the round 7 clash last year between these two sides and gave the 3 votes to Scotty West. 1 of 5 times he was BOG last year, West. Could be right on the ticker again here this afternoon. Blakey, half back on the left foot. Carey in front, he's got it. Yeah. Croft right there with him, but you can't do much about that one when it's low and hard. Carey spins around, looks for Kingsley behind. Better judgment, couldn't hand onto it. Robbie Scott turns around, tosses on up high, not really convicted at the goals. Cameron, defensively and conservatively, Cameron thumps it through for a behind.
Being the good back pocket player you are, Wheels, you would have enjoyed that one.
No hesitation from the boy. He's doing very well, I think, across half-back. He uses the ball so well, Leon Cameron. On set kicks, he'll always kick right foot, but on the run, he's a left.
Here he goes, out to Luke Darcy. Got a little bit of space. Sneaks around Michael Martin. Kicks up towards Chris Gray. Got plenty of open area down in that forward line. He's been told to play on now. Takes his time because the lead is on from Hudson, who's on the ground. Tucked in the pocket, but he's a goal sneak and he's a beauty. Look at that, Montgomery, goal. The Dogs continue on their merry way.
Well, she was almost a form of Pagan's paddock in reverse there, with Grant dragging the ball well and truly wide, then turning around to a leading Hudson into space, and Montgomery just charging towards the goal square. He came up with a magnificent mark. And when you look around, you just realise how many numbers that the Bulldogs have got that are mobile, quick players that can kick goals.
The potent running midfield of the Western Bulldogs, equally potent and equally running forward line, getting the goals at the MCG. 6 goals to 1 into the second quarter. Sunday football, Scotty West, a half forward. Darcy in front, Mickey Martin gets it away, falls to Smith, gives it to Garlick, spins out of the tackle, steps around, straightens up to Simon Garlick, misses to the near side.
Well, more moves here by Garlick than Swiss watch Spassky, chess champion.
Pickett. 6-2 plays 1-5. Kangaroos can't afford to let this gap widen anymore. Longmire, the horse. McKernan is off. Corey has a bounce or 2 around the other side. With confidence. Flat-looking helicopter punt. Not all that pretty. Cameron is locked up by Carey. Brought to ground, a cry of ball. Play on. Liberatore can't get away. Durkee. Gary Durkee. High and good.
Well, great tackling, good defensive work there by the Kangaroo forward line. They brought it in very quickly.
So Durkay gets his first. Couple in each of the games in the last fortnight to Gary Durkay. Gets them when they needed it, and they needed that one. Dimartina for the Bulldogs. Grant, excellent form at centre-half forward. That's 5 marks. Disposal number 8 coming up, and has kicked 2 goals already and up to his second opponent. Montgomery, he's confident too. There's too many guns in the forward line at the moment.
Well, Grant's pushing up the forward line, which is creating space for Montgomery to lead into, and he's just too good in the air for Byron Pickett. And when you consider he's taken this mark over not just Pickett but also the body presence of Mick Martin, you realise what a difficult grab it was.
Well, Gerard, I don't think I've seen a player under 6 foot tall take so many consistent high marks.
Just shows you what a Cadbury can do.
The incentive of box of favourites.
A goal scorer last year, kicked 22 for the season. This year it's dried up. He's only kicked, this is the 3rd occasion he's kicked 2. So 3 here now will be his best return for the season. He should get it. He has got it. The Dogs march on.
Well, the question now is, do the Kangaroos restructure their defence, because they're copping a bit of a pasting at the moment in one-on-ones. You could argue it's because the ball's coming cleanly out of the forward line, but Chris Grant is getting so many easy possessions on Jason McCartney. Not sure a change would help that one, because a lot of them are chest marks. He's taken a couple of grabs in the forward 50, but this is the matchup that is of the greatest concern. Just too strong overhead at the moment and in too good a form.
3 goals to Brett Montgomery. Fine performance. Dimartina out in the middle. They rip it clear once again. Here goes Dimmer down towards half forward. Slack clear towards Stevens. Can't take it. They're burrowing in now, the Dogs, like there's no tomorrow. Scotty West got the free kick between centre and half forward. Onto that trusty left foot. Gets perhaps a little too much height. Montgomery's lurking, but he's outmanoeuvred on this occasion. It's pushed wide. The race is on. Brown leads in that race. To Hudson. Proppy old hand pass. Put him under the pump. Rowan Smith comes into the assist. He loses it. Brown again to Liberatore. That is okay. All Dogs. Liver into the square. Dogs have got the numbers. And they've got the talent. Chris Grant in front.
They're just hitting the ball too hard for the Kangaroos at ground level, Gerard. I mean, players, Johnson on the other side just flew through the contest to have a go at it. Numbers here on this near side. They just want the footy too much, no, for the Kangaroos.
Dennis Pagan to be going through the rotations to see what he can come up with. He's got a problem with Chris Grant. Maybe it's time for Mick Martin to have a look at him.
There's a bird's eye view and Chris Grant's view. It matters not. They can do no wrong at the moment. Chris Grant gets his 3rd and joins Brett Montgomery.
But the loose ball was won on the half-forward line, and this is it. Rowan Smith not having a great impact on the game at the moment, but he's still hitting the packs hard. Nathan Brown doing quite well, just getting the ball out to space, but Chris Grant overhead has taken now 4 marks in the forward 50, and 3 of them close to goal.
Chris Grant kicked 4 goals in each of the 2 clashes between these 2 sides last year. He already has 3, and we're only halfway through the 2nd quarter. He's the man of the moment, and look at the Dogs. They will charge anything down. Matty Robbins hits it hard into the pocket. Montgomery, can he keep it in? Does. Smartly back towards Garlick. Steps around this way, that way, a little bit slow on the handball. Johnson on the up. Dimartina has support from Liberatore. Hung onto it too long. Liber flicks it on out. Free kick the Roos. Harvey out of side. Looking to work through McKernan. Was in fine form last week, marking. Has taken 4 already this afternoon. Durkay beaten by Cameron. Superior judgment of the ball in flight. On the right foot. There's space out wide. Montgomery didn't take it cleanly. At knee level. Works. Looks for the target. Misses Smith. Carey. Back. King. Long handball. Blakey. The experienced member of the side. Can he set something up? The kick's a good one to Longmire. couple of wise heads there.
Kernan one out in the goal square.
Needs to go for him, and he's missed it. Johnny Longmire has missed the lot of them. Not the result they wanted.
McCartney's gone on to Luke Darcy. King's gone on to Montgomery. Martin on to Grant. And Pickett.
Well, Mickey Martin, here come the Dogs again. Get ready, son. It's going to be Martin and Grant at the end of this kick. Liver off to Johnson. No, the pressure was enough. Dimatina tosses on up now. Probing kick. Smith in front. Goes to ground level. Wants it off the ground. Can't. Blakey's right there with him. They tie it up again. North Melbourne under immense pressure in their defence.
And Wheels doesn't surprise me. Johnny Longmire after that's come straight off the ground.
Can't miss everything like that. Top of the square was where that one needed to go from Johnny Longmire.
Cameron Mooney will be the player to come onto the ground. Pickett defends with a high kick towards half-back. Brown in trouble, almost had his head pulled off. Scotty West there to assist with Dimatina. Back to Brown again. That was rapid. Here's Scotty over the top. A chance now. Powell, 40 metres out. A big kick by Powell. Just away to the left, but I tell you what, only just.
And brilliant defensive work there by David King, who came off his man. He attacked the ball, and he was the only one there that was going to prevent the Dogs getting their next goal.
Pickett.
Got it.
And Rowan Smith, as we've said, he hasn't had a major influence on this game today. Byron can't believe it. And Rowan now is going to have his third kick for the day. But more importantly, it could be the Bulldogs' 9th goal. And they are threatening to blow this first half wide open. As I speak, Abraham coming onto the ground. Harvey off. Goal number 9 goes on the board for the Dogs. Rowan Smith gets his first. It's his 117th in his career and his 22nd for the season. But more importantly, look at that scoreline. We've got a 40-point gap, Gene.
Yeah, it does hurt when you give goals away like that one. It was a good individual effort by Rowan Smith, just having 3 kicks, but he's got a goal, so he's on the way.
Nine goals to 1 to 2. It doesn't matter, it's all Dogs. Kangaroos have come from behind to win 4 of their last 5 games, but this one is shaping up as just too far. Pickett, can he make amends? Made a meal of his last kick. This time decides to carry it some 40 metres with a couple of bounces. Kicks into centre half forward. Carey pushing and shoving, appealing for a free kick. That means his confidence is well down. He should just attack the ball. Comes back a second time on Croft. Ball's there to be won by someone. In all contests this afternoon, it's been the Dogs, and they've done it again through Robbins. Into half forward, Martin and Archer playing volleyball up in the air. It's down at ground level now. Simpson on the up. Kangaroos can't get a clean out. Bell's kick is smothered. Here's their best chance now. Archer thumps it on in, but that's all it is. It's thumped in. Croft manages to out-bustle Carey off the ground. Scotty Welch, something magical. It's his moment. Scotty Welch gets it. Well, it had to come from somewhere for the Kangaroos. Scotty Welch delivers it.
Well, you can't have a fire unless you get a spark, and maybe it's this that gives the Kangaroos that little bit of a lift. Just appears as if Wayne Carey wants to test Matthew Croft for strength at the moment, and he's not winning that battle. But what an outstanding individual goal.
Nicky Winmar back out on the ground. The Kangaroos, will that one fire them up from Scott Welch? They certainly need something. Wind again towards Johnson. Out of the middle. It's become a little repetitious. Grant taken high, shrugs the tackle onto the left foot. That is sensational play by Chris Grant. No better answer. Absolutely sensational, and the sign says it all.
Well, it's out of the centre once again. Brad Johnson just quickly onto the boot. This time Mickey Martin getting pushed under the ball, and Chris Grant lets the conversion, lets the silky skills do it all.
Four goals to Chris Grant, 3 to Brett Montgomery. They've been the wreckers in the forward line. Back in the middle, McKernan and Wine. The latter has been outstanding. Scott West gets a bad bounce, but he goes again. Shannon Grant on him, but he gets it away to Garlick. Simon Garlick, a high ball to half forward. The mark taken by Darcy. Luke Darcy plays on. Back to Garlick, he goes again. This is champagne football to Chris Grant, having a shot again, 50 metres out and almost directly in front. Two in the first term, 2 in the second term so far to Grant. 378 in his career.
Sandy, such has been the dominance of Matthew Robbins that one of the best tagging players in the competition over the last 10 years, Robert Scott, has come onto the ground to pick him up.
He's been excellent from the word go. Robbins. Chris Grant has been quite sensational down in the forward line too. Now he's got 5. And this, dare I say it, is turning into a rout.
I had a feeling you were going to say it, dare you? Scotty West just, he's done that move about 3 times already today. Dives on the ball, but he's quickly up and looks around for the handball. The quick give gave it to Garlick, who's had plenty of possession in this match. The impact of Chris Grant continues.
Scott off, Scholl on.
Chris Grant, 5 goals. It's his best return since round 14, way back in 1995 when he kicked 7. Many supporters believe he had lost that confidence in front of goal. But I can tell you from what he's showing here this afternoon, he is back in town.
Well, there's no doubt he had lost it, Wheels. He was gone for all money early in the season, but as you say, he's turned it around. And talking about turning it around, the Kangaroos have marked only once inside the Bulldogs forward 50, and the Bulldogs have taken an extraordinary 10 marks inside that area.
The dominance from the Bulldogs has been most prevalent all around the ground. Kangaroos trying to work their way back into it. Stevens, he won't give up the ghost. Wine stands his ground.
Body slam.
Well, I told you Anthony Stevens won't give up. He'll have a go at anyone. David and Goliath. Goliath gives it off to Scotty West. He gives it to Rowan Smith. He runs on to 50. He settles. He's already kicked 1. It's faded. 1 goal, 1 to Rowan Smith. Yep, I think it was a free kick.
It's the flying fox off the high turnbuckle.
Mario Milano.
I hate to show my age, boys, but that reminded me of when Big Nick went down that grand final.
The earth moved. They still go at it. Brown and West are in there now with Grant. Watch this. This is cute. Drop short of Garlick. He's had a couple of goes at these, Simon Garlick. Can he hone it in? It's going to fall short. North Melbourne defence are all at sea because King was the only one there. And he goes and thumps it away from himself. Boundary throw in. A lack of talk, a lack of confidence just at the moment in the Kangaroo camp. They have been the leader. 10 consecutive wins under the pump. Johnson, Winston Abraham and Bell all in underneath it.
Maybe 10 consecutive wins, but this sort of half is not good for the health of their boss, Ron Casey.
Centre bounce clearances for the match. Western Bulldogs are 13-3. Johnson and West have 3 apiece. Dimatina and Wine have 2 apiece.
And the scoreboard says the rest. 70 plays 23. Liberatore loses out to Longmire, but the Longmire hand pass is intercepted by Brown. Brown centering towards Dimatina. He's on the wing. This is a very professional looking outfit we're seeing at the moment. Dimatina. Centering in towards half forward. He wants his high flyers firing. And he usually has them. Bell goes out the back door to Blakey. Blakey off to King. King wobbles it towards half back, but it's put Winston Abraham right under the pump. Scotty West pokes it out wide. Clean bowl Simpson. He's got to go again. And he does. Still not clear. Goes a third time. Gets the hand pass away. Finishes with Blakey. Tumbles it over the head of Longmire and finds the boundary line. And we've got a throw in. But very little let up as far as the Kangaroo defence is concerned.
And now you can just feel that the defenders in the Kangaroo area are just starting to feel the impact of that there. They're unsure of their possessions. They're not giving the first one. There's a few fumbles starting to creep in. They're not far away from just totally collapsing. But we know the strength of the Kangaroos. They will regroup at some stage.
Brown towards half forward. Smith and Winmar are lurking. Winmar, beautiful. Beautifully done, Nicky. Welcome back to the G. Winmar has his first. The Dogs continue on their merry way.
Clayton off the ground. Robert Scott back on. He has gone back on to Matthew Roberts. Nicky Winmar. This is what can win the Dogs a flag. That's the reason Winmar was recruited. If he can do that 2 or 3 times a game, particularly the big ones, he'll earn the right.
Nicky Winmar gets his first. Bulldogs stretching the lead well on out. Half-time can't come quick enough for the Kangaroos and Dennis Pagan. There is still some 6 minutes of play left in the first half. It's been an electrifying 7-goal 3 second quarter to date to the Bulldogs. That equals their best, which was last week up in Sydney on their comeback. This ain't no comeback. This is a runaway at the moment. Dimatina, Shannon Grant, Johnson, all in there.
The Dog at the bottom.
Kangaroos are trying to equal their best winning sequence of 11. They've won 11 straight last year when heading for 12 consecutive wins when they were thwarted by Adelaide in the grand final. Carey, Croft right there with him. Back, McCartney in the forward line. Up into the goal square. That's through for a behind, surely. Goal umpire takes it and a behind to Jason McCartney into the forward line. Has been the cornerstone of the defence. Sits on 49 goals, so I wouldn't mind it. Nathan Brown misses the mark, plays the ball. Winnie Abraham right there with him. Johnson comes into assist. Could give a free kick away to Simpson. Umpire says no, too much in for everybody to be bounced. Front of the southern stand, Bulldog supporters in fine voice.
Great to see that, though, the chase and the persistence of Abraham against this very exciting and talented number 17 in Nathan Brown. Fantastic to watch. Ooh, he almost copped another one too.
He did.
As he gets a kick down the centre wing, picks himself up though, and the free will be down the ground to be taken by Hudson. Hudson looks up towards the forward line. Hagan probably can't believe there's still about 6 minutes remaining. Someone please blow this half-time whistle.
Glenn Archer's just given away a free kick. He hunted, he chased, and he delivered.
And he's frustrated. The Dogs continue on. Hudson has moved to half forward. In trouble. Clever little hand pass. Rowan's in trouble and has got to be pinged. His eyes lit up, I think, when he saw he had the opportunity of kicking his second. Not quick enough. Shannon Grant goes to half back, finds Abraham. Winston's away with a wobbly old puck. Ricochets off the shoulder of Nathan Brown, then comes back to him off the pack. Gives it away to Curley. Todd Curley, an excellent smother by Durkay. Locks it up in the area, but only for a moment. Scott West couldn't take it cleanly. The Roos may get another chance here. Out wide, it passes Robert Scott. Johnny Longmire swings around, looks down towards the 50. The lead is on. The mark's been taken by Corey McKernan. 45-degree angle, a good 50 out. 17 goals this season for Corey and 138 in his career.
You would suggest that for the Kangaroos to win this, but at the end of the day, Corey McKernan would need to have kicked 5. and Carey would have had to have kicked 5, and you just can't see it at the moment.
And the Dogs would have to stop.
Yep.
We've seen a lot of big turnarounds this season, though.
McKernan starting it right, swinging back. Very, very good kick from Corey McKernan. McKernan gets his first. It is only the third for the Kangaroos this quarter. There's still a long way to go. 4-6 plays 12-4.
From the 50, and if that is one of 5 wheels, we are in for one of the best tussles of the season. Sandy, we're due. We have seen the floods. We've seen the pestilence. Let's hope we can see a great game of football.
I know it's Sunday, but that's ridiculous.
Corey McKernan gets his first. He was the catalyst for the Kangaroos' come-from-behind win last week. Can he instill something into his teammates here this afternoon? 46 points is the target at the moment as we approach half-time. Jason McCartney, one of 3 players who have already had a go at Chris Grant. Grant, the most dominant player on the field. 7 marks to Grant, 12 kicks and 5 goals straight. Len Archer had a tough time last week against Jared Malloy. He's asked to do it again. Longmire, the quick kick out of the contest. Cameron and Scotty Welsh. Leon Cameron this way, that way. Hands on off the West. West off the one step, kicks forward. That's number 19 disposal to West. Byron Pickett cleans on up on the left foot. Finds Simpson. The midfield of the Kangaroos need to generate some forward run. They are the most efficient side in the competition. Just the moment being forced wide. Archer to centre half forward. That's where they need to attack it. Croc kicks it out of the hands of Curley, so it stays at half forward for the Roos. Scholl with the inside out right foot. Banana has found Bell. Well, they haven't kicked consecutive goals in the game, North Melbourne. They have only kicked 4. Consecutive goals can potentially be a springboard for something. Last week, took a great mark late in the quarter against Brisbane. Fed it off to Anthony Stevens, who kicked the goal. Bell keeps the ball this time and kicks it himself. They've got 5.
Brings it back to a 40-point deficit. Seems a long way, but we know that the Bulldogs, well, we know that the Kangaroos can kick goals in a hurry, but that was an ordinary piece of play by Matty Croft. The fresh air just opened up a way for the Bulldogs to go forward. A smart kick there by Craig Scholl. The Kangaroo, Banana, gets it to Bell.
1 3/4 minutes remaining in this first half. The margin was 53 points. So they're starting to peg it back. Still a long way to go. The wine kick only as far as Blakey at half back. Abraham lurking on centre wing. Liberatore gets it out, however. Brow. Beautiful. Fantastic disposal off to Hudson. Hudson's 55 out. Centering kick. Not going for goal. Putting it out in front. Giving the high flyers a chance, and Brad Johnson doesn't let him down. Play on, Brad. And he does to Scotty West. And there's the quick reply. They've got the answers.
Well, it's just a class act. This is a very good kick from Paul Hudson. Once again, the Bulldogs winning the ball out of the middle. It's a huge concern for Dennis Pagan and the Kangaroos. And under a fierce amount of pressure, Brad Johnson takes a fine mark, and you see the conversion.
The Bulldogs, they just keep going. They currently are standing with their best second quarter in both this year and last year. Irrepressible at the moment, the Bulldogs. West just kicked the last goal, wins it at half forward, tosses up Montgomery. Just judges the flight of the ball better than anyone else. And out of that centre bounce, they have just blown the game apart, the Dogs. More often than not, Brett Montgomery gets these marks from big, high jumps. Just the ground covered there from Scotty West. From the centre bounce to half forward. Montgomery standing his ground. Yes, Sandy, the little nudge was there.
Ever so little.
But it was at 4.98 metres away from the ball. Has kicked 2. 4 goals last year, 3 on a couple of occasions. Back in town. Montgomery deliberately, well, not deliberately hooks it, deliberately approaches, but the outcome was a hook.
Just having a look at the dominance of the midfield in particular, the Western Bulldogs have had 7 players with 10 possessions or more. West has had 19 possessions to date. And the Kangaroos have had only 2, Simpson and Bell.
Oh, the Scott hand passes put Bell under the pump. Scott goes again to try and make amends. He almost threw it out. Winmark comes in over the top. Longmire is there as well. And we've got a bounce. Seconds remaining in this first half.
Is this a throw?
It's if it's not, it's the first cousin.
Yes, it's a 1.
Doggies fans like that half. They're giving them a standing ovation. Sensational first half of football by the Western Bulldogs. They kicked 5 goals in the first quarter, but then they've come out with an 8-goal blast in the second. And they really do threaten to blow this game wide open. Leading one stage by 53 points. They currently hold a 47-point margin. And Terry Wallace could almost afford a smile, even though there's still a long, long way to go. Wayne Carey, we heard earlier in the week, was primed, ready and pumped for a big one. In his own words, he was due. He is not a happy camper here. Not happy at all. And neither he should be. They're looking down the barrel of a big loss. The question is, can they regroup? Can they come back in the second half?
Well, I think they can, Sandy. It's an unlikely scenario, but the Kangaroos are a formidable side. They're a very proud club. They'll give it all they've got.
Half time, the Bulldogs 13-5, the Roos 5-6.
Monday on C7 Sport, international rugby action. USA clash with Canada in the Pacific Rim Championship.
And those are the close for Canada.
The Eagles and Team Canada are traditional rivals, and this World Cup warm-up match is sure to be a close-fought battle. Can the USA end Canada's winning streak?
And he's through with a try under the post.
USA take on Canada, Monday afternoon at 5 on C7 Sport.
You'll love the choice you get from Harvey Norman on mobile phones. We have a huge choice of handsets for you to choose from. We give you a choice of networks, Optus and Vodafone. You get a choice of plan. Choice, choice, choice. When it comes to mobile phones, make the right choice. See Harvey Norman, your computer and communication specialists.
The Movie Network will take you to a place only 12 men have gone before.
I can feel a shockwave in my chest.
Celebrating the 30th anniversary of mankind's biggest adventure in the event of 1999.
I just want you to come home.
Stories never before told of incredible human ambition, unparalleled courage, and ultimate danger.
I won't lie to you. Anytime we send human beings up into space, the bottom line is it's a risk.
Set against a time of unprecedented social upheaval. The countdown has begun.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Travel from the edge of your sofa to the sea of tranquility.
Houston, Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.
And witness the greatest scientific and technical achievement in history.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
From the Earth to the Moon, the event launches July 19 on Movie Extra. You've never seen it like this before.
The Dogs are 13-5. The Roos are 5-6. They can fire up themselves and the crowd. The Roos with the first 3 or 4 goals. Garlick is ripped off it. Longmire takes it out of the centre. Tumbles a punt down towards the half-forward line. Curley gives chase and he leads Kingsley, but Kingsley's quick and he persists. Gives it off to Carey. The King swings around. He's giving away a lot of ground. Eventually is forced to hand pass to Simpson. Back to Carey. He's almost down to centre wing. Short, but that's okay.
And
King has got it.
A more conventional setup. Carey at centre-half forward, McKernan going to full forward.
Here comes the kick by Carey. It is a beauty, and he finds Gary Durkay. Booted a goal in the second quarter, did Durkay. Chance to get the Roos away to a quick start. Some outstanding performance, though, for the Dogs in the first half. Some brilliant possession winners. Scotty West, Nathan Brown. Quite outstanding. Durkay from 48 metres. Good kick by Durkay, and he's got his second.
Well, they're going to have to get a real hurry on here, the Kangaroos, if they're going to just be competitive at three-quarter time. They won't, you would think, eclipse this deficit in the one term. It's going to have to be a two-quarter job. But this is the only way they can do it. Everybody's starting to win the ball from the centre and up forward. And Durkay just getting away. Good use of the body there from West. But more importantly, he was converting.
The Kangaroos' best come from behind win was last week. And they had to do it from half-time by 26 points down against the Brisbane Lions. Today the task is a whopping 47. They've got the first of them.
And this is an interesting matchup now. John Blakey has gone on to Chris Grant.
Blakey, away he goes. Second most experienced player in the competition behind Bradley. Croft in front. Carey gets a second go at it. Bell. Grant on the burst. Shannon Grant charges through. Half forward. He's gone long to an open square. It bounces up. It bounces through. Two in a row to the Kangas. They've now kicked two to start the second half and start the long haul back.
And coming off the half-back line was John Blakey. A calculated risk, this one from Dennis Pagan. Grant gets a lot of his possessions at ground level. Whether or not Terry Wallace responds by putting him in the goal square, perhaps to isolate him and utilise his height, we will wait and see. But good work there coming through the middle was Grant. And in an ounce of luck, they got it with the bounce.
Late in the second term, the margin had ballooned out to 53 points. It is now back to 35. Maybe we're going to see a big comeback. Johnson feeling the heat. Longmire, the hand pass, okay. McCartney, the boy from Nil, gets a long bomb inside 50 once again. Curley goes with the fist. He's not out of the danger zone yet. Robert Scott picks it up, gives the hand pass away. Kingsley round the body, bends it back, and the mark is taken over the line or in. No, he's taken it inside the King, and he's going to have a shot. And I would doubt if he could see any space between these two goalposts, such as the acuteness of the angle.
Not a very difficult shot. He's just got to come close to the man on the mark, push out a little bit, and snap around the corner.
You make it sound so easy. He makes it look so easy. He's kicked it. Here come the Kangas. Whoa!
Well, the Root boy has certainly given them a bit of a spark. But what they did there was more so than winning the ball up forward, they started it from the middle with Longmire getting the ball out of the centre bounce. It was a handball to running players up the half-back line. And when the Kangaroos are getting the ball into their forward line quickly, it gives a totally different perspective on the match.
Bulldogs were out at 53 points. Since then, the Kangaroos have kicked 5 of the last 6 goals of the game. Bell out of the centre bounce quickly. McKernan centre half forward. Carey again. Most influential in the opening part of the third quarter is Wayne Carey. Scotty West wrapped up possessions in the second quarter to Garlick. Bulldogs under early pressure. Darcy out in front of McCartney, takes it. Wheels around onto his left, cuts back to his right, balances back on the left again, attacks the goal square. Grant, Blakey, Archer.
Brilliant defensive work there by John Blakey. That is an interesting kick.
He's hit the post.
Well, really, I think the ball has to go back because it hasn't come back into play unless it crosses the line.
The umpire's calling a boundary throw in here, which I would, if I have got the rule book, it would have taken too much to... No, it's not a point. You can't hit the back of the post.
I don't think the umpire... Well, look.
That's extraordinary there.
The ball has to come into play, and it hasn't done that.
So we need Kevin Bartlett here, a member of the Rules Committee, to verify or clarify. But whatever the case, it's a boundary throw-in. Kangaroos under pressure again, off the ground. Nicky Winmar can't keep it in. A boundary throw-in, opposite side.
I've never seen that before in my entire life. Never ever seen this before in my life. I wonder if the umpire has also.
Well, mind you, we haven't seen an umpire mark a ball for a long time.
No, it's been a big round for umpires.
It's all happening. Sunday football, round 15 of football. Longmire does the body work, allows Bell to take the ball cleanly and clearly towards Carey. Croft in front. There's a free kick off the play. Umpire Hayden Kennedy from the far end.
Spotted it. It was Wayne Carey who had a grab of Matthew Croft's jumper. It was good umpiring coming from a long way back and picked it up well.
They say that the third quarter is always the hot one in footy. Well, we've got one now, Sandy.
He was a long way back, Hayden Kennedy, further than Michael Holding on the long run, but he spotted it. But this has been a good start. It's now going to test the Dogs. The metal. The Grant kick straight up and down to Johnson. He's got it on right half forward. Hudson screaming for it down in the forward line.
Well, Dennis Pagan would be filthy on that because Paul Hudson was free for some 30 to 40 seconds, and the Kangaroo players could see that. They were just a little bit lax in getting back onto him.
Paul Hudson has the chance to steady it down. 3 quick goals to the Kangaroos in this second half. Hudson going for his first for the day. He's been one of the leading lights as far as goals is concerned this season for the Dogs, but he's off target. 28 for the season coming into this game. Winmar has 23 prior to today's match. Of course, Nicky kicked one in the second quarter. 30-point ball game. The lights on, an overcast day. Tense crowd, and Pickett coming back in to start the action again. Not a pretty puck. Sandwiched was Shannon Grant at the bottom of that. Nathan Brown is the one doing the sandwiching.
Byron Pickett hasn't been as clean as we've come to expect of him. Some of his disposal today, that one just didn't spin right at all. They need to clear the area better than that.
The Kangaroos just warming up on the boundary line. The bench players. Mick Martin is not there. He must be injured.
Pushed back towards the centre. A little chip comes towards Longmire, but he's going to leave it for the quicker player at King. David King from 50 metres. Slams it in towards goal, but he's away to the right. Trademark run of King. Just unable to capitalise with a goal.
Terry Wallace, Brian Royal. And there's the bench. Minus Mickey Martin from the Kangaroos. Returned this week after a couple of weeks out with a hamstring injury, so you would suggest probably has reoccurred. He did it 3 times last year too, Mickey Martin. A bit of pressure here for the Kangaroos defence. Archer in front. He'll be the cornerstone of that defence for the remainder of the afternoon. He's been paid to mark. Umpire Brett Allen, he's under all sorts of pressure. He's a bit slow in calling that. He called the controversial one earlier on Archer. Perhaps, just perhaps, he's squaring the ledger. Archer from the wing to centre half forward, looking for his skipper. There he is. Carey's up. Liberatore's in first. Carey comes back again. Harvey on the left foot. Drags it back around to the square. Great kick, great mark. Kent Kingsley in the right spot. Harvey most disciplined with his kick. Been a quiet day. Just some 6 disposals for the E.J. Whitten medalist. Anthony Stevens also just on 7. Key players in the midfield for the Kangaroos. But can they get the first 4 goals of the third quarter? Kent Kingsley's got it for them. The Roos are back.
They are back. They are within striking distance, but still a long way to go. And you pinpointed a couple of players that have needed to lift, and they've done that in this term. In the Whitten medalist, as you said, Brent Harvey, and also Anthony Stevens, who was cleaned up in the first half by Scotty West. But once again, it was Carey working hard at the pack, discipline to the top, and Kingsley is good overhead.
"23 points, that's nothing now. Scotty Wine sensing this comeback What can he do?
The centre bouncers just have turned around dramatically. It's been all the Kangaroos in this term. It's been the Western Bulldogs 1, the Kangaroos 3.
And yet in the first half it was just one-way traffic the other way.
Right, you look at Johnny Longmire. He's out there to make a difference. Towards the end of a very good career, John Longmire being asked to do the ruck work. Missed some 6 weeks with a knee injury early in the year. Approaching 200, as is Carey and Stevens. He would love to be there for the Roos.
Still in the middle. Belted towards Johnson. Couldn't take it cleanly. Robert Scott fell over it. Now McKernan falls over the top of the pack. Comes back in again. And there'll be another ball up. From 53 points back to 23 points. And the Bulldog boys on the bench looking concerned.
Yeah, Steve Cridiock's still jogging around. Don't think he'll be back on. Steve Powell, Michael Martin and James Cook, who hasn't had a run yet.
Darcy winning it. Poking wide to centre win, but picked up by Harvey. He's got the players here. There's plenty of blue and white. A chance for Simpson to send them down towards half forward. Carey lunges at it. Can't get it. Bell can't escape. Because guess who's got him? Liberatore.
Adam Simpson missed a golden opportunity there. He had Shannon Grant and David King free. He just turned around blind onto his left and bombed it to Carey. It's usually a fair option, but if you've got free players, you've got to use them.
Peter Bell and Tony Liberatore having a good old chat. Simpson around the body. He bends it back, but not enough. Could be kept in play if Curley can get there, but look out, because here comes Carey. He crunches him. Taken over the line as Matthew Croft.
Cool. That's a fair hit. All legitimate, all legal. Wonderful side shoulder bump.
And Paul DiMartino coming back on for the Bulldogs, replacing Nicky Winmar.
Straight on to Welch.
Interesting though, the ball was still in play and he went past the footy to apply the physical pressure.
Wind wins it, but he'll have to go through the motions again. Robbins over the line.
But I suggest, Jerry, I mean, that's where they do need to make a difference. Inside the contest, the Bulldogs have been far more aggressive in the first half of the game. It's a different Roo outfit out there now. Longmire doing the job against Scott Wind. Wind front spot, knocks it down, but well rowed by Scott. Unbelievable piece of work. That is a burst. They have found an extra metre or two, the Kangaroos. Dennis Pagan, hard afternoon in the box. Robbie Scott, through he goes. Gave himself every chance, straightened up very well. Very good player for the Roosters. Crossing from Geelong, McCameron brings it in for the Bulldogs. Kick wide, finds Curley. Some run support there from Johnson. Ignores it first time, ignores it the second time. He's feinted the handball, so that's play on. Tosses it on up high. Wind has to camp underneath it. Very well done, Scott Wind. Flicks it on over the back, but it's all Kangaroos. It's a mob of them. Winnie Abraham into the path of McCartney. Under some pressure, but gets his foot to the ball. It's loose out in the flank. Charging it down is Croft. He's the opponent of Carey. He's done well, Croft. On the left foot. Throws it back from where it comes. DiMartino. Handballs off the Grand, on the burst, out into the pocket, man alone, Montgomery, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, bang, goal.
And there's a bloke down there you can thank for that goal. He did some fine shepherding in young Robbins, right back on the half-back line.
Yes, it was tremendous physical pressure. You can also thank Matthew Croft, who read it best, left Carey in his wake. Came along, went bang. There was Robbins delivering the physical blow. And Chris Grant coming up with what I think is his first kick of the quarter. Not a bad one, was it?
They needed an answer, the Dogs, and they got it. 10.5 minutes remaining. Wind wins it, but it's King who rips it out of the middle. A long bomb towards Carey. Couldn't quite take it cleanly. He did, however, tap it on. Just didn't quite make it to Kingsley. And the Dogs will clear out towards Johnson. Good interception, however. He's going to get the free kick against Abraham.
Downfield, I think Carey just went a little extra.
It's a blood rule, I think. It's going to be a blood rule.
Yeah, Tony Liberatore.
Yep. Liver's coming off for a blood rule.
kick down still stands, I'd suggest, Sandy. That was the contact that was done after the
Johnson
play.
Kick.
Yep. So Liberoff and Mickey Martin for the Bulldogs is on. If you were playing poker, you'd have a fair pair today, two mixed.
We'll ponder that as Abraham this time takes the mark. On right half back, he slips, he loses it. Darcy gives it to Nathan Brown. Brown might make him pay. Long one in towards full forward. Good mark taken by Welsh. Maybe even a Cadbury contender as he goes to the outer side and finds Shannon Grant. Grant pops it over the top. They got some run here. The horse can go. And he does. Shrugs one tackle. Looks to the forward line. Carey uses the body. They come charging out. Pushed down in front by Curley. Now he's going to retrieve it himself. Todd Curley goes again. Pokes it wide. Martin's just come onto the ground. Short little chip to the outer wing is going to be okay. Montgomery will steady it down. The hand pass towards Powell. Interception is beautiful by Pickett. Byron Pickett says we're not done with yet. Kicks in towards half forward. King was waiting down. Taken out of it by Robbins. West was there. Couldn't take it. Neither could Cameron. Look at that work. There's going to be a free kick. A free kick going the way, according to umpire Ty Burton, of the Dogs and Leon Cameron.
Once again, another long bomb into the North Melbourne Kangaroo forward line. Rather than just pinpointing a pass, there were some options.
Brown and Johnson take on Archer and they win out. They give it to Hudson. He's found space at half forward. Runs in closer to goal. Centres the ball to centre half forward. Montgomery's the target again. Couldn't take it this time. Stevens was good in the body work. Montgomery goes to ground. Kangaroos stay upright. Garlick's in there second. In the back, no, says the umpire. Shannon Grant cleans up for the Roos. To the wing, Durkay. Scotty West. West does well enough. That's a boundary throw-in.
And, Jared, you just get the feeling this is the surge the Kangaroos are making now. If they are going to do it, things have got to happen in the next 5 or 6 minutes.
Well, what they can't allow to happen, Sandy, is to give up this the amount of work that they have done by letting the Dogs score a couple of times, because it was always going to take a couple of quarters to reel back in the lead. They've done pretty well so far. They've still got to maintain the rage.
So from 47 points the difference at half-time, now it's down to 28. Harvey on the burst, hard along the boundary line. He set one up just previously. This one misses the mark.
Look at Carey.
Matthew Croft.
Well, you would be filthy because that was a 1 in 100 shot at goal, which Carey was at the top of the square and it should have gone to him.
And here's the rebound. Dimartina on the left foot. Very quickly, it's half forward for the Bulldogs. Hudson, Blakey just goes for space. Bulldogs pair up. Archer, strong and committed. He's got a boundary throw and he's worked it very, very well.
At this stage, I wouldn't think that the Kangaroos have got full value for money for the amount of work that they have expended. They've had the ball inside their forward 50 11 times, and a lot of the occasions it's been pretty reasonably well without pressure, and the Western Bulldogs only gone down there 5. 6 coming up.
Darcy to Brown to Johnson to Curley on the berth. They've got Grant. Didn't carry. Smith front and square, does it well on the left. The two-handed drop, I'm not sure about it, but the accuracy's there. Great goal.
There's the difference. Carey gets Bird down at the other end of the ground. The opportunity was there for him. They didn't utilise it. And yet here are the Bulldogs. They're going forward for just the 6th time in this quarter, and they're going to come up with their second goal. A very nice shot at goal on the non-preferred. Happy with it.
We're back to a 34-point margin. Big goal in the context of this game by Rowan Smith. Brown gives it away once again. Powell gets a high, hurried kick down towards Garlick. It's on the left half forward. There's a free kick being picked up. It's going against Garlick. A little bit of holding picked up. Kangaroos, though, want a couple now. Time ticking away in this third quarter. Harvey is caught, dodged a couple, now has lost it to Powell, gives it across to Southern. Danny Southern's almost down the centre wing. Another hand pass. That was to Garlick, back to Brown. They are relentless. He surges forward. Centering kick is spot on. has got it.
And Brent Harvey paying the price for not keeping it basic. Off you come. He's been dragged for trying to do too much with the football. He had an opportunity down at the other end of the ground, and there, prior to this turnover, he had 2 chances to kick the ball long, but he wanted to beat the 2 players.
And straight on the phone too, Jared, and I bet you Dennis Pagan is saying exactly what you just said.
49 metres the margin. Big kick, big goal.
Well, this is a rough and tumble season for all players, but Brent Harvey was the toast of the town some 4 or 5 weeks ago. He was the best player on the ground in the state of origin. And yet since that time really hasn't put it together, just been doing it spasmodically, and now he's been dragged for a couple of indiscretions.
So for the 9th time this season, the Bulldogs have put 100 points on the scoreboard, and we still have 6 minutes of the 3rd quarter to go. Brent Harvey ponders. What should have he done? Hagan knows what he should have done and isn't happy. Scotty West at the bottom of the contest. West continues to rack up possessions, a little quieter in this turn, 22 to date. Anthony Stevens, his opponent, still stuck on 7. Bounce. Wind and Longmire. Wind, number 2 in the contest, getting balls out of there, and you can see why. Big, strong man, Powell. Johnson runs on it. He loves these ones. These are routine for Brad Johnson. Boy from Hoppers has done it again.
Yes, and that's just about the ball game. You would think the Kangaroos won't have another effort like they've expended, and the Kangaroos have failed to take advantage. The Bulldogs have been strong enough. They've been able to withstand the pressure, and despite having Scotty West nullified somewhat in this term, they have been able to get enough goals.
Well, just when you thought the Roos were coming back, each side has booted 4 goals in this quarter. Nathan Brown, well, good interception. He's not going to see any of the football on this occasion because Robert Scott charges from 50 metres, kicks long in towards full forward, but it slews off the side. It's wide. Cameron gives chase. Bell's after him. Pressures towards the line. Kept in play by Robert Scott, but only for a moment. Pouncing on it was Dimatina. Paul Dimatina, 7 kicks, 7 hand passes and 3 marks. Longmire and Wine. Brown, geez, he had a game and a half. Nathan Brown, 11 kicks, 12 kicks and 5 hand passes. Been very, very effective. Anthony Stevens, pretty well held today. That mark could have been taken. Instead it was bashed down and taken by Scholl. Here's Scotty Wine, may come undone anyway. Johnson almost kicking in danger. Robbins in trouble, gets the hand pass away. They're still surging forward. Hudson's got it down to Darcy. Darcy's inside 50. Which way's he going to go? He wants Grant at the back. He was there, ready and waiting, but he wasn't allowed to get out.
Yeah, there's no doubt that Adam Simpson has done a pretty good job on Scotty West since going on to him at half-time. He's really closed him down, and he's finding it hard, Scott West, to find the Sherrin, and that's something he does in his sleep.
Liver appears to be okay. Archer. Rowan Smith has it pelted out by Stevens. Robbins leads in the race. Stevens has got him. Fierce was Anthony Stevens. He's going to head back to the bush at the end of his footy career, and it's not over yet. The little number 10. Look at that
there, Matthew Robbins. The push came to shove, and it should have been a free kick.
Wine and Longmire. Longmire wanting front spot. Could have been held. The horse on half-back. Accentuating it and picked up by the man in white. Down towards half-forward. Curley read it better than anyone. Todd Curley at half-back with 3.5 minutes remaining. His side at the moment in control.
What a pickup this man's been, Todd Curley. Every game last year, every game this year, spending time at Collingwood, he's been very good in defence for the Bulldogs. And this man here, the skipper, big Scotty Wine, off to Robbins, on the right foot, into Grant. Been quiet since early in the game, had 5 goals up half-time. Smith, pressure from Welch.
I think they're the ones that are really hurting the Kangaroos, as well, in particular Matthew Robbins, but the 2 bonuses for the Bulldogs this season have been a couple of unknowns. Robbins is starting to come into his own in the last half a dozen weeks, and Stephen Powell has given them another player that has been just a magnificent midfielder for most of the year.
2 goals won this afternoon to Rowan Smith. Accuracy is generally with him. It eludes him just at this stage.
Sholoff, Mooney on for the Kangaroos. Libber still sideline.
And as good as John Longmire's been this quarter, I think it's just about time they need to get Corey McKernan on the ball.
Richard Osman on the boundary line. David King with the football. And just a couple of minutes remaining in this quarter. McCartney having to beat a couple. Brown held a good long time before giving it to Montgomery, off to Martin. He wants Powell. He's got him. He's still got him. 47 metres from home. Great looking kick. Wonderful goal. Stephen Powell joins the goal kickers list. He's got his first. And now 10 Dogs have kicked goals for the day.
Good piece of work here, just gang tackling. A smart charge on the footy by Stephen Powell. He can convert goals. And that was one of his better ones.
Tony Liberatore back on the ground. Kangaroos kicked the first 4 goals of the third quarter, got to within 23 points. But since then, the Bulldogs are back with 5. Archer from behind. Brown at ground level, out into the path of Hudson. Beautifully placed the kick across the body and across the goal face, 1 behind. Hudson, who started the game on the interchange bench, turned last week after a couple of weeks out with a hamstring. Shows no sign of that here this afternoon. Not so fortunate is Mick Martin from the Kangaroos. Believe may well have re-injured his hamstring. Not on the ground at the moment. McKernan in the contest. This Mickey Martin for the Bulldogs. He's sharp, he's clean, works with Libber. Hudson gets another go, and he's put it in exactly the same spot again.
Well, the handball to Hudson came from another handball, and that kick should have been another handball to Brad Johnson. He ignored him, and he's just got to give those quick options.
Terry Wallace. Twice the Charles Sutton medalist with the Western Bulldogs, Terry Wallace. Now the coach, and in total control at the moment. Wine from in front. Slaps it on down. The umpire comes in to pull a free kick. Against Nathan Brown. He's prepared to concede it too. No argument there. So Shane Clayton's take the kick towards the wing. Carey's caught from behind. Curley, it actually hits him on the head. Carey comes back in another time. Matthew Croft appealing. Been a big day for Matty Croft with Carey. Had to back it up Tony Lockett last week. So Matthew Croft always will get the big job. And John and Lorraine Croft, watching in Mildura, should be very, very proud of their young son's efforts.
On centre wing. I don't know whether this effort today by the Kangaroos is good news or bad news for Geelong, who've got them next week in Sydney. It'll certainly be thought-provoking. Throw in. There's Shane Clayton. Wine with the right hand wins it. Longmire just trying to hold it up there with another hand. A little bit of pushing and shoving, but no one going anywhere rapidly.
Liver and Harvey just discussing the Morris medal. Those boys have one. Liver was a fair while ago, but he's not going to let anyone get in his way.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
No one's played more games of football with the number 39 jump on, Sandy. He just keeps racking up little notches on his belt.
He's unbelievable, as we say. Archer wins it, but straight to Powell. He kicks towards left half forward. Only seconds remaining. Shannon Grant gives it off to David King. Down goes the foot on the accelerator, and he gives it away to Gary Durkay. Durkay from 70 metres looks to the forward line, looks to the big guns. He needs a mark. Almost got one from Wild Winston. Wasn't to be. Cameron out the back door. Cameron will steady it down. Nathan Brown takes it across half back. He's been busy and he's been very effective. Gets his kick just in time. Shane Clayton had it spent a little too early. Now he's got to go back again. Curley pounces on him. He'll be disappointed with that, Shane Clayton. Right on the siren. Three-quarter time. Another big quarter because early on the Kangaroos really did threaten. They booted the first 4. Goals from Durkay, Grant, Carey and Kingsley. But then all of a sudden the well dried up and the Bulldogs hit back. Goal to Rowan Smith, Brad Johnson, Brett Montgomery, Michael Martin came off the bench to contribute, and Stephen Powell also kicked one as well. So the Dogs looking the goods at the moment. Sitting on the ladder at 8 wins, 5 losses and 1 draw. But still with a pretty good percentage in the way things are going today, that could certainly be enhanced. We'll take a break here from the MCG. Three-quarter time score. The Dogs 18-9, 117. The Kangaroos 9-8, 62.
3 Olympic silver medals from 3 gold medal performances.
Monday on C7 Sport, Rayling Boyle on her Olympic debut.
I went out to the starting blocks with nothing to lose, and that's how I ran.
On the Olympic tradition.
The tradition is part of what I love about the Olympic Games.
On her Olympic medals.
I'd love them to be gold, but ethically I can't dip them.
The Tracy Holmes Show, Monday night on C7 Sport.
Get warm this winter. Go Harvey Norman, your heating specialist. We have heatwave oil-filled column heaters from $79. This Scope 2400 watt radiant heater with fan boost is a low $229. Check out our great range of gas heaters from Rinnai Eventual and Woodland. We have electric blankets from Sunbeam and Linda. You want heat? It's on at Harvey Norman, your winter warmer specialist.
Was this how you imagine Simon, Jack?
Jack Moore is a brilliant attorney. There's not a door he can't open, a deal he can't close.
Jack Moore.
Lee. Hong Lee.
But after a night in an exotic land, he'll discover there's one thing he can't talk his way out of: murder.
You speak English? He's saying you must. I'm American.
A foreigner takes a girl to bed after knowing her for a few hours. The next morning, she is dead.
He knows his rights, but justice doesn't translate.
You believe me or not?
Richard Gere, by Lin.
You must recommend the court and allow my client to be free.
Why are you doing this?
I do not wish to be silent anymore. And let them take you out of this room.
May I see your passport?
If I had a passport, I wouldn't need asylum.
I said you are in contempt.
What are you going to do? You're going to shoot me twice?
Red Corner, coming soon to the Movie Network.
Here we go, final term. The margin is 55 points, a huge ask for the Kangaroos. Wind and Longmire out of the middle. Liberatore shrugs one, shrugs two, kicks it high, up towards half forward. Darcy, a big leaper. Going to be paid, Luke Darcy.
Sandy, I must say, Scotty Wine said to Tony Liberatore, stand right there, son. And he hit him right on the tit. Wonderful stuff. Just a wonderful combination, those two players. And look, they've produced this outcome.
The test, yes. Sunday. Darcy. Well, that's an interest. That's a rainmaker. Straight up and down. But they're not out of it yet because Liberatore tries to chop it off. Can't do so. It spills free towards half-back. Longmire gets a cruel bounce. So too did Martin. Overrun. Good support from West, however, and Brown. Now Garlick chips in for a kick down towards the half-forward line. Chopped off by Glenn Archer. Archer gives it away to Blake in turn off to Bell. He heads to the outer side. Courage shown by Johnson. Needs support, and he's got it in the form of Nathan Brown. Brown takes the hand pass back again. Tucked on the boundary line. Short little chip to Rowan Smith. Back to Brown. This is good football. That's another interesting kick out of the corner of his eye. He saw Mr. Hudson. He also saw Mr. Martin, but he picked out Hudson, and he's going to have a shot directly in front, 35 out.
Well, he just showed it all there, did the young kid, Nathan Brown. Very, very smart player. Peripheral vision extraordinaire there.
Hudson for his first for the day, surprisingly. 10 other players have already goaled. Hudson now has made that 11.
Well, now it's a matter of how far. You wouldn't be surprised to see the Bulldogs turn on a clinic here. Because they're all up and running, they're all hungry. There wouldn't have been too many times they've been in a position to give North Melbourne, the Kangaroos, a nice old belting, but they would have received a few over the years going the other way.
Hudson gets his first. The Bulldogs are so accurate in front of goal. 19 goals, 9. Liberatore standing exactly where Scott Wine wants him. Right on that mark. Bounce doesn't favour. Wine just drops it on down. Not too far off it. Scott. Across North Melbourne into half forward. Winston Abraham. Wine gets back. Shannon Grant onto Scott. Races in on the left foot. Probing towards the goal square. Croft and Carey. Carey, well done. Free kick. Plays on. Adding insult to injury. Croft clears the area. Liberatore. Bork's back inboard onto his left foot. And Hudson just camps out here by himself. I have no idea where the North Melbourne defender, who is supposed to be standing, and gets to. Grant through the gap. It's up along the boundary line. Keeps in play. McKernan trying to do it from ground level now. Pickett sees it over the boundary line. But back down the other end in the goal square, Croft and Carey.
Well, there was a bit of a grab around the shoulder, but I'm not sure the umpire was paying it for that.
Well, I suggest he had to, because there wasn't too much more there. McKernan drops it down. Pickett tossed down by Hudson. Normally it's the other way around. Byron Pickett normally is the aggressor in this Kangaroo side. Archer upset. Michael Martin cool in a crisis to Hudson. Just gets too much space just at the moment, is Hudson. Too many options in the forward line for the Kangaroos. And a 50-metre penalty for what, Sandy, you were watching?
Well, I think Glenn Archer might have had a little something to do with this, but the wheels are falling off at a rapid rate, and he's still got a bit to say.
It's a 50-metre penalty against a player if he abuses the umpire. And umpire Brett Allen took offence to whatever Glenn Archer said to him. No one on the mark. Hudson has just put that into the Jollymont rail yards. 20 goals to the Dogs. And Archer heads to the bunker.
Welcome to the boundary line.
Oh dear.
She's a tough old caper. Glenn Archer has put his body on the line for this club many, many times. Hundreds of times. And yet he suffers the ignominy of coming to the boundary line when things go wrong out in the ground. How far the Bulldogs can win by now was the only question.
So Archer benched for that indiscretion. 129 plays 62. An embarrassing scoreline for the Kangaroos as Peter Bell takes it out of the middle, goes down towards Carey. 2-on-1 against him. Cameron turned inside out. Robbins giving him good support. Their backup has been sensational. Off he goes to Johnson. He's still on half-back, but he'll chip to Martin. The Dogs getting out of trouble too easily. Turning defence into a ripping attack. Threatening with a cricket score. 20 goals, 9 at the moment. 129 to 9 goals, 862 from the Kangaroos. Wind the target. Got one hand to it. They swamped him, including McCartney. and there'll be a throw-in.
The Dogs have got, in the coming weeks, Adelaide, Geelong, Carlton and St Kilda, so they can make a real charge into the top 3. Because it's all closed up a little again this weekend, and an extraordinary round 15 of football. Hudson clear, gets the hand pass away towards Danny Southern. Whitson Abraham's got him covered. He pushes it along in front. Dimartina almost in danger. Great desperation from Pickett, but only a short one to Whitson Abraham. Abraham looks further afield. He's got Shane Clayton on the outer side. Now Carey again. Carey in front. Beaten once more. Pushed down in front. They're not out of it yet though, the Dogs. A little chip over the top. This could go to Carey. Missed. And therein lies the day. Can you believe it? Gary Durkay, for one, certainly can't. There's some speechless commentators next to me, so I'll carry on for a moment. You boys ponder it. Here's King, 55 metres out. Clayton's there in the square. Can't take the mark, and it's smashed over the line. For a behind. Yet another one.
I'm back. Good. What a win for Matthew Croft there. And he is just so pumped. Big task to take Carey. Carey drops off the pace there. Momentary lapse in concentration. Jared, please come on back.
He can't. I've never seen him so speechless. You're in shock, man.
Danny Southern, he's nice. He's enjoying it from half back. Drives the ball into half forward. Grant flies. Kangaroos have the numbers. Blakey in towards the centre of the ground. Pickett, the handball, inboard to Scott. He has given some run since coming off the bench. Archer, he's back off the bench into the forward line. Can he redeem himself with a goal? Few and far between have been the positive pushes into the forward line by the Kangaroos. They've been third on the ladder for 6 out of the last 7 weeks. Dropped to fourth for 1 week after a 7-point win against Port Adelaide. They'll stay in the top 3, but they have been shaken here today. Croft applies pressure to the goal umpire, but it's a goal to Archer.
Well, it was a pretty lucky decision, and we've seen 3 very un-North Melbourne-like acts in the last 5 minutes. One was at the Bulldogs end, when they didn't have the, I guess, application to put somebody on the mark on the goal line. I know it's only a formality, but sometimes a man on the mark will touch it. We've seen Wayne Carey miss an incredible goal, and then we saw this one. We won't see it, but it lobbed on the line, and somebody should have been down there to shepherd it through.
Strong arm tactics going on here. Careful, boys.
Well, the only thing that can come out of this is a report to Glenn Archer. Yeah. That would really have Dennis.
Well, the umpire is right there with them at the moment as play goes on. Down the other end of the ground, over the head of Rowan Smith. Back towards Scotty West. He's ridden to the ground by Simpson. Robert Scott towards Byron Pickett. Clears to the outer side with an effective hand pass. David King goes sprinting down the ground. Carey's in front. 1, 2. Durkay off hands. Durkay for goal. He's tired of giving it short to someone, and he's going to kick it himself.
Wayne Carey ready to take on the world, isn't he? Well, umpires included.
Telling the umpire to have a good look at the replay up on the main scoreboard, because he thought that he was grabbed. He was, well, he was rightfully peeved a couple of minutes ago when there was a free kick played for around the shoulder, and there was a similar one.
3 goals to Gary Durkay. He is now the Kangaroos' most prolific scorer as they attempt to close the gap.
They come again from the centre bounce. Left foot from Stevenson, only as far as Curley. Strong in defence. Out wide, Brad Johnson. If there is such a thing as a second place in an E.J. Whitten medal, he was that earlier this year. Works with Wind. Darcy on the left foot towards centre half forward. It's all Kangaroos. They should take it. They do. McKernan dropping back there with Grant. Grant was the player who blew it out early in the game. 5 first-half goals to Chris Grant. Been quiet since then, but a number of teammates have stood up to carry the void. West in towards Wind. Tries one hand. Nathan Brown on the burst. Left foot, wobbles it in. He's missed that one. Brown kicked 7 goals earlier in the year against Geelong at Optus Oval. Has since gone back into defence. He's given the Bulldogs defence a great amount of run. He and Scotty West look like the twins with the... They found the peroxide bottle that Richard Osborne left during Aussie's 51 games with the Bulldogs.
There's still some in it?
There was just a drop left, and the boys have utilised it beautifully. Look at him. Nathan Brown, poised this way, that way, and gives it off beautifully to Johnson. They have just too many options.
Crowd today of 44,683 as we saw.
Brad Johnson, a goal scorer early in the year, kicked 13 goals in the first 6. It's been 4 in the last 8. Make that 5 in the last 8. Johnson gets his second, and the Bulldogs now have their highest score for the season.
Well, this is the most emphatic of victories, and something that will have the bookmakers, I'm sure, just having a bit of a look at the premiership odds, Sandals, because the Bulldogs all of a sudden, with so many guns at ground level and Chris Grant striking some form, look everything that a premiership side should look in June or July.
What it's certainly going to do is leave them safely ensconced in the top 4. The draw they had earlier in the season is helping. Look at him go!
Johnson, 50 metres out for goal. He sets sail to home, but he can't finish it off. The mark is taken just inside. 1 behind.
And there's an interesting question, Jared. James Cook hasn't been needed in 21 goals. I'd suggest not the most versatile player to have on an interchange bench.
No, but it was an interchange of 4. I guess they can carry the load. They went in with a very mobile side. I guess the extra mobile players were out on the ground, whereas the Kangaroos went with a few extra mobiles on the bench.
Curley defends after the bell kick came down to the forward line. Now Brown. Wormberger up towards centre wing. Smith got rid of it smartly. Now to half forward. Maybe Johnson will have another go here. 55 metres out. A long bomb. Pickett's there. North, the Kangaroos have got the numbers. Pickett's away, but what's he got to kick to? Not a lot at the moment. Now McKernan comes down.
50.
That's got to be 50. It was very late by Wine. Back he comes. Bell, in the meantime, is leaving the ground. Harvey is coming back on for the Kangaroos.
I think there's a little bit of physics in that. When you have a big, tired man just bearing down, he's going to keep coming after the contact. I don't think Scott Wine would even argue about the 50-metre penalty.
McKernan, 8 kicks, 7 marks. But in the words of Dennis Pagan, I don't think he's gone ballistic today. McKernan. It's a long bomb. Just slightly away to the left in going for those few extra metres.
Yes, he hasn't gone ballistic, but Dennis may go ballistic after the match.
Yes, I was pondering that. Cameron to the outer side. Danny Southern.
Although it's fair to say even he would accept the fact that after 10 very, very big wins, a lot of them from impossible positions, the
correct
factor has to come into play.
Yep. Curley spirals a big punt to the half-forward line. Grant just stands his ground. He's such a skillful, strong athlete, and he lets me down with a horrendous kick.
One of the pluses, though, Sandy, for the Kangaroos in the second half has been Blakey on Grant. He's taken him out of the game to a degree.
Martin kicks into David King, the man on the mark. King will take the hand pass from Harvey. Looks around towards centre wing. Finds Glenn Archer. Archer onto the left foot. Carey. Content to go on with it, ignoring the jibes, and he finds Kingsley on 50. Kent Kingsley booted 1 goal in the 3rd term. That's a delightful kick. Kingsley gets his second. The Kangaroos get their 3rd for the term, and it is their 12th for the match.
Sting out of the game, a 9-goal deficit, but this is a pretty fair kick from Ken Kingsley, who had an extraordinary match against Port Adelaide, for memory, where he kicked half a dozen goals in his first game of AFL football. He bobbed up early in the match anyway, and that was a big kick. Yes, it was 6 goals against Port Adelaide for Kingsley, and that was a fine one there.
But there are 21 goals on the board for the Bulldogs. Half-back Leon Cameron sweeps a handball on out wide to Nathan Brown. He's picked up a fair bit of football. It's number 8 in this last quarter. Grant, as Gerard said, well held by Blakey. That's just disposal number 5 in the second half. West, back. Darcy pirouettes around onto the left foot, unloads it, it's high. Cook sits underneath it, pops one high. Ball keeps going. Smith, the kick's not a good one. And Shane Clayton getting back takes the mark. 40 metres out, defensive goal for the Kangaroos. Wide to Pickett. Hasn't been as creative, seemingly under pressure all day today, Byron Pickett. 16 disposals. Croft in front, Carey behind. What a duel that's been. It's been a win for Matthew Croft. Cameron, chip kicks into Michael Martin. A win at centre half back there. Johnson continuing to be a very good player. 25 disposals. Garlick into Grant.
Well, Chris Grant in the first half had 12 possessions. He kicked 5 goals, and he was the one individual player with his 5 goals that set up this victory for the Bulldogs. In the second half, though, he's only had the 5 possessions, and John Blakey closed him down. A very good performance.
So Chris Grant marks the spot on the ground. What that does is just ensure that he runs a straight line as he approaches the goal. There are little options offering on the inside to him. He won't ignore those. But he's marked himself to be straight. Anthony Stevens. Well, maybe the bus did stop and he ran straight into it, Anthony Stevens. Chris Grant. That is a very good kick, Granty. He's back in town for Goldstein. Six goals for Chris Grant. Wonderful return to goal kicking form.
Just having a look at him, what he's actually done from just that viewpoint has got rid of that sideways step just before he kicks from goal, as he was doing early in the piece. He had a little touch of the goal-kicking yips, but if you keep everything going in a straight line and the ball drops in a straight line, generally they go through.
6 goals to Grunt, 4 to Montgomery, 2 to Smith, 2 to Hudson. They're the main scorers for the Doggies. Scotty West out of the middle, tumbling a high punt towards Montgomery. But it is the boy from Nil, Jason McCartney, who takes the mark in front of him. Comes wide to Glenn Archer on centre wing. He looks down towards left half forward. Clayton is there. 70 metres from home. Goes in towards a congested half forward zone. Carey the flyer. Harvey doing the scouting work. Harvey ricochets off, and we've got it behind. Perhaps could have thought about the hand pass over the top.
But unfortunately, at this stage of the game, it does come down to individual, looking for a little bit of survival techniques, perhaps. There was a handball on. Yes, Sandy, you were right.
On the outer side, Montgomery thought about going on with it. Now Brett goes back. Good day for him today. 1 goal in the first term, 2 in the second, and 1 in the third. And he's interspersed that with some magical aerial work. We've got a ball up on the outer side. $22 points the margin at quarter time, 47 at half time, 55 at three-quarter time. They just haven't let them in. Kangaroos have tried. They haven't been allowed in. Free kick going the way of Kingsley. Long, long way from home.
Kicks to half forward. A big flight. Is it McKernan at the bottom of the pack?
You'd still suggest, Gerard, that structurally the Kangaroos aren't too bad a side. That when Corey McKernan can get down there and take a couple of marks.
They're a great side.
Yep.
They've proved that. They're just having a shocking day, and the Dogs are right on top of their form. I reckon the question is, if in fact they do meet in the finals, who has learnt the most?
Well, I think Croft can get a tick on Carey, but likewise, as you've mentioned, Blakey gets a bit of a tick on Grant at the other end.
And there's a fair chance they might just meet in the finals too. Here's McKernan from 45 metres, sailing it straight over the top of the goal umpire's head. McKernan gets his second. They both come from that end of the ground. Kangaroos get their 13-12, trailing the Dogs 22-11.
I think the one thing we've learned about the Bulldogs is that they have got a side that can go all the way. With so many options through the middle of the ground that can go forward. They've got a Nathan Brown in defence who can kick 7 goals, and he has done up forward. Rowan Smith can interchange. They're looking pretty good at this stage.
So a goal-for-goal finish in the final moments of this last quarter. Still 5 minutes of play left. Kangaroos working for some personal pride, particularly in the forward line. Kicked 13 goals. Here's a go at another one. It's bounced. It's through. Shannon Grant. 3 goals to Shannon Grant.
Possibly if he gets another one.
Yes, his next one's going to come in an awful hurry. Nice interception there. Scotty West has given out that many handballs. He's felt sorry for a couple of players, so he started giving them to the Kangaroos. And just to clarify that one, is number 2 or 3?
It is number 2, yes. Willing them on, the Kangaroos, because I do agree they are a very good football unit, just on a day off today.
Just under 5 minutes remaining. Longmire having a run up against Wine.
That's good work. Brilliant Wine.
Fantastic display by Scotty Wine today. Down towards right half forward. First to recover. Dimatina ridden into the ground. Robbins does well. Tried to get it off to West. Scotty West goes again. He too is ridden into the ground, but there's been a free kick given away by James Cook, I fear.
This is another thing that they may have learnt. Simpson on West has been a pretty fair job in the second half.
Blakey to the outer side. Long and wide. Good clearing mark taken by Shane Clayton.
I have to agree there, Gerard. Scotty West had 7 possessions the first quarter, 14 in the second, and then just 1 and 6 in these last 2 quarters.
McKernan again rising above the pack. Finishing all too late. Scotty West coming off for a spell. Luke Darcy back out onto the ground, but it's inside 50 for the Kangaroos. Harvey gives chase. Robbins persists, pushes it over the line, and we've got a throw in. Robbins 11 kicks, 8 hand passes and 1 mark. Anthony Stevens having a spell as well. Longmire, front spot. Claim gives it to Harvey, off to Robert Scott, 40 metres out, poking it across the face of goal. They've got the numbers there, and Clayton should goal. He does. Shane Clayton, as the Kangaroos finish in a flurry. Clayton has his first goal for the day.
Yeah, good work this by Longmire and Harvey. And the Kangaroos, well, we know they're a disciplined unit. They've got plenty of pride, and they have fought this game out pretty well. Percentage may determine who you play in the finish in the finals, and may avoid a home final.
So we're watching 2 of the top 4 sides in the competition. 2 of the best Melbourne-based sides, without any doubt at all. West Coast Eagles, top of the ladder. Essendon amongst them as well. Bell pushes it forward. Kingsley in front, couldn't take the mark. Cameron from behind wins it at ground level. Curley whips on out to Brown. Had the little look away to Montgomery. Quick exchange of hands. Eventually Liberatore stands and delivers a high ball to the wing. And Darcy just outmaneuvers Mooney there. Dimatina Kicks towards the forward line. Grand in a heap of players there, but Smith juggles a great tackle from Pickett. The Dogs were clear. It's in the back.
Another one down too.
Chris Grant.
Grant's very slow to get up.
I think he's suffering from a corky, but mainly from fatigue.
There was about 3 kangaroos jumped at him here. Here they all come. 1, 2, bang, take that. And Smith, I think that was a bit harsh on Byron Pickett, even though the last bit was a roll over the top. The tackle wasn't too bad. Smith has 2 goals. Been very productive over the last month. He's kicked 4, 5, 2, and now going for 3, and has done it. 23 goals to the Dogs. There's a very tired-looking Chris Grant. Suggesting he set it up for the Dogs early. Goals early in the game, 5 to half-time for Chris Grant, 1 in this last, and continues to be the focal point at centre-half forward.
Well, when you get tackled by Byron Pickett, you get tackled. Jeez, that could nearly have been a very nasty injury to Rowan Smith. Fortunately, it wasn't. Centre hit out says we go for another one, and that's another one to Wine, which makes the Bulldogs 24 to the Kangaroos 6.
47 points the margin. Out of the middle once again. Kangaroos a chance. Race is on. Curley first to it. Shorthand pass towards Johnson. It doesn't sit very nicely for him, and eventually it's forced over the line with Harvey, Grant and McKernan and co coming in for the Kangaroos. Right on centre wing. Just a couple of minutes left. An inspiring win. This will go down as for the Dogs today. Mooney on and doing the ruck work at the moment for the Kangaroos. Bell turned inside out by Liberatore. Now he's got him in a headlock. The ball is in there somewhere, and there'll be a bounce. Oh!
It's interesting the second time, isn't it?
A bounce. Robbins, the hand pass is good to Dimartina over the top to Johnson. He can run down and set up the loose man, and he does to Rowan Smith. He's down on right half forward, 1 bounce. He has another bounce. 50 out, sweeping, penetrating hand pass. Beautifully done to Mickey Martin. Martin into the open goal. Sensational footy. That's the ball game for the Doggies. 1 behind. God, they let you down, don't they? But it is the ball game, and it was sensational football.
What Mickey Martin would be pretty pleased with Damien Drum, because ever since Damien Drum approached him at Optus Oval a few weeks ago, he's been to the senior team.
Robert Scott on the end of this one, maybe. Not easy when your opponent's Chris Grant. Simpson tries to poke it over the top to accommodate Bell. Look out, because here's Liver. Right on your hammer.
Right on my hammer too, Sandy. They both really land in my lap.
Well, just look after yourself, Oz.
Thrown in right in front of Richard Osborne. 51 games with the Bulldogs, Aussie. You'd have to be a little bit barracking for them here today.
Not a problem with that one, Wheels.
They've been very good. Even when you're as objective as I am these days, they have been most impressive. The way in which they've hit the football and utilised it. Jared pondering the 3 votes. It's going to be a tough one for you, Jared.
Yeah, there's the stats between Bell and Liberatore. Pretty good performance again. Sandy, take us through an objective judgment on Terry Wheeler's cartwheels and somersaults during the second term.
I was just pondering that, actually. I thought, well, he could have a bit of an optical problem. But you can't blame him when there's that much red, white and blue in the old veins. Something's got to give. We don't blame you. I think anyone watching it would agree that it has been a power-packed and exciting performance by the Bulldogs today. One that is going to mean something come September time. The high kick by Mooney made it difficult for Clayton. He did it very well. Clayton kicks in towards McKernan and co at half forward. Couldn't take it. Longmire's also down there. Wine gives it away to Croft. He's going to be very happy with this today, Mr. Croft, although not happy with that kick. It lobs on the chest of Adam Simpson. A floating punt kick by Simpson goes back into the forward line. Wine steals it, then loses it. The Carey hand pass is okay. Good for Robert Scott as he sets sail for home to finish it off. That will be just about the last kick of the day as Robert Scott gets his first goal.
Yes, and what a goal it was, Sandy. Yes, I'm just pondering the stats, and you want me to have a look at the shot at goal as well. Sorry, the
You've
votes.
been deep in thought ever since that ball.
I'm trying to work about 9 Bulldogs into 3 spots.
Golly, just rest then for a moment. We've got a lot of time left, approximately 1 second.
Right.
We'll get a bounce and that's it. Big roar for the Doggies. It's a big win.
We might well be looking at it, Kieran. Terry Wallace. Yeah, good performance all round by the Dogs, led by Scott Wine in the middle of the ground and Chris Grant up forward. And I reckon Matthew Croft in defence, and they had a host of midfielders. In fact, if you took those players out, the rest of the Bulldogs side is generally midfield, because they have got about 14 or 15 runners, including Brad Johnson, who was one of their best, and Montgomery was also outstanding. Scotty West's first half, brilliant. Matthew Robbins, brilliant also in the first half, quiet after that, but we may have an interview down on the boundary line. And it is Richard Osborne with the skipper of the Western Bulldogs, Scott Wine.
Well, Scotty, you've certainly been involved in some good wins over the years with the Bulldogs. How do you rate that one today?
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I mean, to knock the Kangaroos off after winning 10 in a row, and they've been the big side of the last 4 or 5 years. It's just been so competitive, and to have a good win like that, especially after they come at us at half time, just after half time, I think the boys stood up and really kick us off the next 6 or 7 weeks.
And a bonus for the club to see Chris Grant in such good form, particularly in the first half, finishing off with 6 goals.
Mate, he's been in good form for a fair while now, and I got a lot of criticism at the start of the year when we lost a few games, but when you're the best player in the side, you've got to accept that, and he's just stepped up a level in the last 6 or 7 weeks.
And talk about best players in the side. Wayne Carey for the Kangaroos. Crofty's done a magnificent job on him today.
He has, Crofty last week against Lockett had a great game, and he's just doubled up again, so congratulations to Matty.
Well, it's always a pleasure talking to you, mate. Well done and good stuff.
Thanks, mate.
As a chat to him when they have a win, they've had a big win today. Very, very good performance. Home by some 42 points, the Dogs. The final score 23-12, 150. Kangaroos 16-12, 108.